equally requires the minister to lay before the National Assembly the appropriation bill at least 30 days before the end of the financial year. So too does Section 24 of the same Act, which specifies the content of the appropriation bill documents. The coronavirus pandemic has negatively impacted growth prospects across the globe and dampened initial optimistic growth forecasts from the pre-COVID-19 era. The case of the Gambia is no exception. The higher inflation rate in 2019 was due to several factors, including one-time hike in postal charges in March 2019 and an increase in food price associated with the Ramadan and a low food harvest. Meanwhile, the 2020 inflation rate is anchored on a stable exchange rate and increased domestic food supply supported by government intervention to promote agriculture and a sound monetary and fiscal policy implementation.
The fourth medical team of Chinese epidemic control experts has arrived in the country for a 3-month free medical service delivery as part of efforts to help the country's health sector deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. The experts who were received by the Chinese ambassador to the Gambia and Gambia's health minister include respiratory physicians, epidemiologists, and preventive medicine specialists, among others.
This is the first time for the term of our COVID-19 experts team's overseas work gets as long as 3 months, instead of more common arrangement of only 15 days. I believe this action embodies Chinese government's firm support to the Gambia government's efforts in fighting the pandemic. This year in July, China and Africa countries have successfully organized a virtual meeting. The Chinese President, His Excellency Chinese President Xi Jinping exchanged views with the African countries' leaders, and they got some consensus on enhanced cooperation in combating the COVID-19. We will have some other more measures in the coming time. We will work together to fight against this COVID-19.
It has been a very, very immense partnership between the people of the Gambia and the people of the People's Republic of China. Your partnership in the past has been very, very fruitful. A lot of interventions have been done in this country through the help of your predecessors. And we are very, very optimistic that we are going to get similar support from the team of highly qualified people. There's a pediatrician, gynecologist, radiologist, orthopedic surgeon, intensivist, and another interpreter coming to support to do the interpretation. We are really delighted to have such caliber of people, and also included is a cardiologist. Those are some of the rare specialties where we need people to come and participate and help us in the provision of quality healthcare services for our people.
A 2-day orientation program for selected technical working group members on the design and composition of the national infrastructure for peace in the Gambia was held at a local hotel in Banjul. The United Nations Development Program, alongside the Office of the President, the Ministry of Interior, as well as the West Africa Network for Peace Building, are working together to assess the capacities of members of the technical working group and their skills and strengths towards understanding the functions of a national infrastructure for peace.
This is also in line with the National Development Plan's aspirations of delivering good governance and accountability, social cohesion, and national reconciliation, and a revitalized and transformed economy for the well-being of all Gambians.
In spite of some of the advances in the course of the ongoing reforms, such as the legal, electoral, security sector, civil service, to mention a few, the Gambia continues to grapple with an array of internal challenges threatening peace and security.
To respond to these challenges, states increasingly adopt more systematic and institutionalized ways to manage conflict and build peace. These institutions, mechanisms, resources, and skill through which conflict can be resolved and peace sustained within a society is what is described in this infrastructure for peace that we are building in the Gambia.
The idea of selecting these multifaceted, vibrant, committed, and dedicated TWG to coordinate and operationalize the establishment of effective functioning of national peace infrastructure that will build our societal values.
The Ministry of Women, Children and Social Welfare and the UNFPA under the UN Peace Building Project have rolled out a 2-day quarterly dialogue with religious and traditional leaders on sexual and gender-based violence issues, referral pathways, as well as its implications.
Since the beginning of this COVID-19 pandemic, cases of SGBV are on the rise. And in view of this, 30 members has been nominated from both the Christian Council and Supreme Islamic Council to this 2-day engagement workshop.
Gender-based violence is inimical to the development of a people. Gender-based violence is anti-religion. It is criticized, discouraged by every religion that I know. The idea is for us to share and understand the impact and implication of this grievous phenomenon.
If we look at gender, Islam discusses it, as expected. So Islam promotes equality, equity, and whatsoever today people are promoting for toward this cause in our religious books. And we are here, inshallah, to look at those issues and analyze. Then when we go back to our society, we can pick back to them as they were alluded in our religious books.
As a participant, the head of the program, they said dialogue. When you have something you want to share with people, whatever you have, you share with them. What they also have, they share with you.
As part of efforts to support farmers across the country, the Gambia government, under the leadership of His Excellency President Adama Barrow, through the Ministry of Agriculture, have purchased farm animals for onward delivery to farmers in the North Bank region. The animals are geared towards addressing the challenges of smallholder farmers. Authorities believe that the donated animals will help to improve production and productivity in the crop production sector and will further pave the way for large-scale farming in the region. The presentation was held at the Regional Agriculture Directorate in Karawan.
Recently the minister went on tour, our honorable minister, who is Honorable Ami Fabure, and then part of her objective for that tour was to assess, to find out the challenges that farmers face out in the field. And some of the challenges that farmers, explained or highlighted was that, they want to boost production and productivity. But it's a problem because they don't have farm implements. They don't have animals like this to help them do this. So this is why the minister, who is a visionary minister, has taken it upon herself to see that, production and productivity out in the field is upscale. And this is why these animals are being purchased, in order to support these farmers. And these farmers, the beneficiaries for these animals would be basically these small holder farmers, farmers who are basically on subsistence farming, who can hardly make ends meet. So these animals are meant for them, so that at least these farmers also, their production and productivity can go up.
The Gambia Red Cross Society has started a 5-day nationwide monitoring visit of various project sites and operations in the regions. The projects and operations include the COVID-19 response activities, the Cash for Work with World Food Program, migration issues, borehole drilling and solar-powered water facilities, as well as construction of women horticultural gardens. The delegation first visited the Red Cross branch in Brikama, Kandunku, and Kanilai Women Gardens, supported by the Japanese Red Cross.
We have been working on different projects since the past months. COVID is one, but we also had business continuity where we were doing our usual business, which is the development projects that we are supporting in many of these villages. So we felt it's time first to go out and thank our volunteers and staff, but also to look at the projects that are ongoing.
Ntabinaja wato mena nyangadi no ngatara lor na brani mbite majulo onkole saba kolonkon. Fobi nganaje ko nganda hajul sabolal. Wato konta no wartan tolfe bak.
Ibrahim Cole of Swigam Company Limited, contractor of the Kanilai and Kandonku Garden projects, explained the project intervention areas.
The Kandonku Garden is about 1.65 hectares. Their water requirement is about 55 cubic meter, but we'll be generating 65 to 75 cubic meters every day. The borehole is dug. It's a 6-inch borehole, highly productive. It has a 2,450 watts peak. It's SQ Flex 740 that is in it. And it is also going to have the same 20,000 liter tank water holding capacity. Kandonku includes fencing and doing of construction of reservoirs. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to erect the taps close to where the reservoirs are going to be.
On arrival at Kanilai, Fatu Tamba explained the huge financial expenditure incurred by women on the electricity power water supply.
Kontanta baka sambe jeso katu mo kaji problem sotole ninga jibondro ke ni kura tata ro abanta baka jeso andi o jefana munem nka use ni mun gas power nka gas power sang 10,000 years 2 months I bang.
Currently what we have here in terms of capacity from the solar panels, we are looking at 4,950 watts. That is about 4.95 kilowatts. That is what it is generating. The pump that is in is called SP17-5. It is generating about 22,000 liters every hour. So it means every hour it will be able to fill the tanks. Where the tank capacity we have overhead, it's 20,000 liters. You know, this has been an existing system. So it has a total of 47 taps, and there's a pipe network leading into the village. But because from time to time they do have water shortage, so we decided to oversize the system so that the surplus can actually be pumped into the village.
We realized that there are some development gaps in terms of access to water and also development of women, their capacity in horticulture. So that's why we invested in getting money from our partners to do boreholes so women can have access to water. We fence their gardens, we give them seeds and tools, and we train them so that they can increase their livelihoods in terms of income in the household. So this is why Red Cross is moving, because you know very well the nexus between development and humanitarian. They are closely linked.
Let's move now to the Central River region, where Action Aid the Gambia, with support from the European Union, recently trained women poultry farmers in the Central River region on poultry feed formulation and chicken processing. The 4-day training program was conducted under the theme Strengthening Women's Economic Initiative Program.
Poultry feed is a crucial commodity for the farmers, especially the poultry farmers. Its availability is a major challenge to the poultry industry, and training them to have emergency feed preparation techniques is very, very vital. In the case of shortages, they can be able to manage with their birds until when they get the feed from their suppliers.
It is important to give facilities to people, but how to run those facilities, how to maintain them, how to sustain them is very, very important. And one of them is for them to have the skills as to how to prepare their own feed and also how to process the chicken and then be able to keep it. Because it's not just like you're going to slaughter the chicken and put it there directly, but there are processes you should take so that it can stay long, you know, in the storage facility. So that is why I think the women who participated here today will acquire some skills that will help them as to how to manage their poultry products.
Now we can do it by ourselves. It's not for us to go up to Dakar or up to Combo to find this food. It used to be expensive, but now we can do it by our own so that we can come to be as a big poultry farm.
To the Upper River region, where the Ministry of Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment recently held a consultation on ECOWAS Post-Vision 2020 development. The aim, according to officials, is to discuss the challenges in the implementation of the mission under the theme toward peace and borderless regions.
Today is another important day as far as Ministry of Trade is concerned. They have regional integration, at the same time employment. I think it's a very important ministry. So if they are here today to make observations or to make consultations with people, so that we can all come out with our important contributions towards the Vision 2020 development activities for the Ministry of Trade, I think is very, very important.
The long-term vision of ECOWAS remains the creation of a borderless, a peaceful, a prosperous, and a cohesive sub-region established on the principles of democracy, good governance, and the rule of law, where its people could take advantage of the abundant resources at their disposal to create favorable conditions for the sustained economic development of the region. As a member of the ECOWAS region, the Gambia is firmly committed to the regional integration process, and in particular to the implementation at the national level of various ECOWAS community protocols, programs, policies which have a bearing on the political, economic, social, and infrastructural development of the community and its citizens as a whole.
We know as a country, we always sit down and talk about the ECOWAS protocol and even the integration aspect of ECOWAS. And today we are given the opportunity to come and sit in that forum and discuss, come up with ideas that we believe when they are put into policies and vision will steer the affairs, not only the Gambia as a country, but also ECOWAS as a regional body.
And to the health segment, the crusade to combat the effects of tobacco in the Gambia, we find out how the police are enforcing the control of tobacco in accordance with the National Tobacco Control Act.
The general public is hereby informed that the Gambia Police Force, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and other law enforcement agencies, which includes environment inspectors, custom officers, public health officers, and any other person appointed by the Minister as authorized officer, will begin enforcement of the Tobacco Control Act 2016 and Regulation 2019 with immediate effect. Henceforth, it will be an offense to smoke in all public places, which includes health facilities, markets, offices, public transport, schools, airports, car parks, bars, restaurants, hostels, prisons, police cells, toilets and corridors, just to name a few. There are no specific smoking zones created so far, but one has to be 100 meters away from all public places in order to smoke. Furthermore, all forms of tobacco advertisement, display of tobacco products at points of sale, selling of single cigarette sticks or packets less than 20 sticks, and selling cigarettes to minors, that is people under 18 years, are all prohibited. The Inspector General of Police therefore solicits the cooperation of the general public in order to keep our dear modern nation smoke-free and reduce tobacco-related diseases. Thank you very much.
Well, viewers, that does it for today's edition of the Weekend Spectrum.
But do join us next week where we will look at other interesting stories of the week. Until then, a bye from us.